Hello all. Today I offer my first part in I don't know how long it's going to go. It's going to go for a little while on liturgical vestments that you'll see the clergy wear here in the Polish National Catholic Church. I'm also standing in as we call it, the Wexford corner of the church, and I just want to go from a different spot in the church each time I do a presentation just to let our people see what they've been denied from seeing for the last few weeks or so. So the first item, and I'm going to go sort of top down, is this hat on my head, this biretta, the biretta. So this is a priest's biretta, all black. And it's meant actually to be this square shape that you see. Maybe I won't put it against my black. It's brimless, and for a period of time it was required by the clergy to wear. The color denotes the clergy's rank. I'm just a priest, but a deacon could wear one of these too, and we would only be allowed to wear black. A senior priest in our church would be allowed to have black with some purple piping, a bishop with red piping, or he could wear a violet or purple one. And the prime bishop, well, I've seen prime bishops in different pictures wear red ones, purple ones with the piping. They can do whatever they want, right? That's sort of what comes with the job. Now, Berettas haven't been around forever. We don't have any history of them in liturgical books until about the 10th century, so not even halfway through. For the next 500 years or so, Berettas, well, they kind of look like this. Well, they have this sort of shape, but we have to note that it was more of a skull cap. So think of what your bishop would be wearing as he comes out for Holy Mass, combined with that kid who wears winter hats throughout the summer. Mix that into one hat, and that's kind of what Berettas looked like through the first 500 or so years of the second millennium. Now, this formation and use goes along with that mortar board that you would have worn on the day you graduated high school or college. But beyond the simple mortar board, almost what the faculty would be wearing, those fancy pieces with different things that denote different portions of their service. It's an honorary hat, but as clergy, we do a lot of honorary things. It started with the higher-ups of the church, the cardinals, who would first wear their birettas constantly. And then those who would be preaching. These are the earliest pieces of art, people who would be using birettas in the ordained ministry. And to this day, their exact size, the square that goes into the round thing, their peaks, the amount of peaks that they have, we can see 1, 2, 3, the tassel, how that'll look varies. Now mine has 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's because I don't have a doctorate. If you have a doctorate, particularly that in theology or in divinity, you're allowed to have that 4th peak. But you can also have a 4th peak if you have any sort of doctorate, as is permissible. In different countries, you might see just regular priests required to have that 4th peak, such as Spain, for example. Once upon a time, also an interesting fact, when confessions were solely done in boots, as we know, our church kind of moved away from that, although we still allow it, that the priest would hold his biretta next to his heart as he heard the confession, but when it was time to offer the absolution, he'd put the biretta on and give that absolution. Okay. I'm going to put this biretta down over here, hop out of the frame real quick, and go to the next item. I always thought this thing on the top of my head, this Zucchetto, was a neat liturgical item because I didn't see it too much growing up. I saw them on TV. I saw, as in any movie that you'll see, they try to dress up the clergy as fancy as possible so you can say, that's a priest, that's a bishop. But the history of this Zucchetto up here is interesting. It's practical. Those who receive the tonsure, and for us, if you enter into minor orders in our church, you receive the tonsure. You get the clipping of your hair and the 5 nail marks, or the 5 wounds, really, of Jesus. But it wasn't always like that. The tonsure used to be a little more rudimentary. It was a blade, a razor blade, and it chopped out either those 5 marks or it made that halo, removing all of your hair there. Churches weren't really heated back then, or if you were outside, you might get sunburned. So, hey, what covers your tonsure up better than this exact proportional thing? So, yeah, for hygiene purposes, for practical purposes, these began to be worn. But they were once never to be worn after we progressed from that without that aforementioned biretta or a mitre. So I'll never touch this head. It now serves as a standalone. You can see that it's made of, I'm going to bring it up closer, of 8 triangles. Perhaps the camera can't pick it up very well. And these 8 triangles together form this round cap. And it includes a string to pull it off and hold it nice and easily. And its name is derived from zucchetto, zucchini. The fact that when it was on top of a clergyman's head, the clergyman's head kind of sort of looked like a gourd or a pumpkin, and that's exactly what this sort of came to be. It isn't necessarily derived from Jesus' background with the traditional head coverings that Jewish people would be wearing, but probably more from the early Greeks or the early Romans, a different conical hat that they would wear, almost like a dunce hat or those old-timey nightgowns and nightcaps that would be worn. They looked sort of like that, and they were more that was the style back then. In the last 40 years, we've had bell-bottoms and mohawks and perms and gigantic caterpillar mustaches, so who are we to frown or make fun of any styles from way back when? As I put this down, I want to note the next one, the pastor's cape, or the pellagrina. This article of priestly vesture is an interesting one too. It's a garment that shows authority. For a priest wearing a plain black one like I am, it shows that I am the pastor of this church, pastor of this parish. For a senior wearing his appropriately colored one with piping, it shows that he has authority over his seniorate or his deanery. And for a bishop, the full authority over his diocese and each and every parish within that diocese. Again, it would be appropriate for me as pastor of this parish to wear this, and perhaps while on camera when I wear a cassock, I will do so from here on out, though you won't see Father Greg, who is a retired priest, or Deacon Jim, who's a deacon, be allowed to wear one of these. It'll distinguish us a little bit better as we go forward, and it doesn't look too bad. Looks like I've been lifting a little bit, and the shoulders are looking buff right now. As an article of priestly vesture, it was once proposed that the cassock, and this is a detachable cape. I hope I'll be able to take it off. If not, we'll just go along with it. That this detachable cape should be attached to the cassock and given a new name, a samar. So that was when it's all attached in one piece. I'm just wearing a cassock with a detachable cape. And finally, the last article of clothing, probably the most difficult one to see, so I'll turn to try to get a profile, this fascia, this cassock cincture. So we know that an alb has a cincture. We'll get into those videos at some point. But some wouldn't even consider this an actual vestment. Some would consider that this particular article of clothing is not to be worn during liturgical celebration, that it would be for somebody who is seated in choir, or perhaps a master of ceremony, or somebody who's getting pictures taken of them as they enter a clerical rank. Now, it is also written that this is a symbol of an assigned office, whether that is as pastor or as the head of a seminary, the rector. Well, some would say that it represents the vow of chastity, like in the Roman Catholic Church, that a priest would make. A chastity belt, I suppose. Of course, something that we do not have to subscribe to in the Polish National Catholic Church. Chastity would be a choice. It's to be worn above the waist, and even probably somewhere over the belly button, and off to the left. And it does represent a portion of Scripture that comes from the full armor of God from Ephesians chapter 6. St. Paul writes, "Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand firm then, with a belt of truth buckled around the waist." I hope you enjoyed just these few articles. It took a while, and we have a lot of vestments to go. I hope you enjoyed. God bless you this day.